This dog refused to give birth, and when the vet saw her ultrasound, she immediately took out her phone. Many people find puppies adorable, but sometimes getting them into the world can be difficult for the mama dog, as this one canine found out for herself back in 2016. Mariessa and Chris were both avid animal lovers who would do anything to help animals in need. In fact, at the time of this story, the couple were already the proud parents to 10 rambunctious dogs, and their lives were anything but boring. Mariessa had always believed that her past relationships had never worked out because of the overwhelming love she felt for these animals. Her partner at the time couldn't wrap his head around the fact that she wanted a numerous family of four-legged friends. He thought they would be too much to handle. But then she met Chris, who seemed to love dogs just as much as her. Their instant connection only blossomed more each day as they continued to get to know one another. The one breed in particular that the couple wanted to help more than anything was pit bulls. They both felt that these dogs had been given a bad reputation due to how other people would abuse them, and they wanted to rescue as many as they could, as they knew that if they didn't, the animals would simply be put down. Despite having 10 dogs at home already, Chris and Mariessa realized that they could do more to help the misunderstood breed, and so they decided to visit the local animal shelter, which was called Pibbles and More Animal Rescue. The shelter would help any animal that came to it, but had a large focus on trying to rehome pit bulls, as they knew they were one of the hardest to help. As the couple looked around and took in all of the wagging tails and friendly faces, the two kind-hearted people could never have expected that their lives were about to change for the better. Pit bulls are often misunderstood due to how large and muscular they look, and how they are often portrayed in films as being quite aggressive attack dogs. In many states, owning a pit bull is even illegal, so it wasn't at all unusual to see so many of this breed in local shelters. Chris and Mariessa knew this, as they had their fair share of adopted pits, but they still couldn't quite fathom what the big problem was. The couple wanted to do more and help in any way they could. Still, they had no idea what kind of predicament they were getting themselves into. Mariessa had promised her husband that she would only adopt one dog due to the large furry family they already had at home. But as she looked around the shelter, she knew that it would be a difficult choice. But then one of the animals caught her eye. It was a heavily pregnant pit bull. The canine's belly swayed as she lumbered over to enthusiastically greet the couple. She had a beautiful brindle coat, and with one lick from her rough pink tongue, she won Mariessa's heart. The woman knew that she couldn't leave such a vulnerable animal behind, especially knowing she was due soon. So she went and asked one of the staff members if she could adopt her. But when Mariessa learnt the reason why the dog was in the shelter, her heart broke. She learnt that the pregnant pit bull's name was Story, and she had been surrendered by a backyard breeder when she had become pregnant, as they could no longer afford to look after her and the puppies yet to come. After learning of this sad turn of events, Mariessa and Chris knew that they couldn't leave the mother-to-be behind. They asked if there was anything else they needed to know about the dog. At that point, the staff told them that the canine had been due to give birth a week ago to 6 little puppies, but nobody knew why she hadn't. The worry on the shelter worker's face told Chris and Mariessa all they needed to know. Time was of the essence for Story. She needed help. Despite being a little apprehensive about the idea of looking after Story and her 6 babies, which would bring the total number of dogs to look after to 17, Mariessa simply couldn't leave the dog behind. That's when Chris had the idea to foster Story, while the shelter searched for a forever home for her and her puppies. So that's what they did. But the couple still had to handle the issue of why the dog wasn't giving birth. The couple had never encountered a problem like that before, and with their worry increasing, they decided to do some research online to see if they could find any answers about the dog's behavior. They discovered that whilst canines understand that rescue shelters are there to help them in some way, they can still feel uncomfortable and unsafe in such places. And pregnant dogs want the best for their pups and will hold out on giving birth if they think the situation is unsafe, making this dangerous for both the mom and her puppies. Mariessa and Chris immediately became worried and knew that they had to go to the vet and fast. Once the couple were at the veterinarian, the vet gave Story an ultrasound to see just what exactly was happening. But what she discovered shocked everyone. As the vet counted the faint white lines of the separate puppies, she suddenly shook her head and took out her phone. She quickly took a picture of the monitor before turning to Mariessa and Chris. The vet took a deep breath and told the couple that there weren't 6 puppies in Story's belly like they all thought, but 12. Chris and Mariessa were astounded and overcome with delight, but they were still worried about the mama dog. Why hadn't she given birth yet? The vet couldn't explain it. The mama dog should have given birth already. But the puppies seemed to be doing well, and she wasn't too worried about the animals' health just yet. So she sent them all home to prepare for the big day and told the couple that if Story hadn't given birth within 48 hours, they should bring the dog in for another examination. Once at home, Mariessa still didn't feel completely calm about Story's situation. But after reading up on how to help a dog give birth, they discovered that she probably wanted her own personal space to feel safe in. So, the couple cleared out a bedroom and put in comfy pillows and blankets so that the canine could feel comfortable and protected. They didn't want to intrude on her too much, so she could feel 100% at ease with her surroundings. Thankfully, their plan worked, and later that very night, Story gave birth to all 12 of her puppies, all alive and healthy. In 2 weeks, the puppies had opened their eyes, and Mariessa and Chris were falling more in love with them by the second. Soon, the little canines were running around the garden on their shaky little legs. Story appeared content and was a lovingly devoted mother to her babies. She loved licking them from head to toe and nursing them. Chris and Mariessa looked on with devotion. This mama had been through so much, and now she could rest a bit as she was in complete safety. But still, all 12 pups needed to find homes. Once the pups were old enough to stop nursing, Mariessa contacted the local shelter and asked them if they would be willing to help get them adopted out. The shelter happily agreed, and soon requests to adopt them came flooding into the rescue center. Although the couple was extremely attached to all the puppies, they decided not to keep any, and they all found loving homes. One by one, at 10 weeks old, they were taken by their new families to their new homes, where they continued to thrive. Thankfully, Story also found her forever home. Soon after all of her puppies had been given away, a man read about Story's incredible tale on Facebook and couldn't wait to meet her. He fell in love with her immediately and took her into his home. If it wasn't for amazing people like Chris and Mariessa, Story's story would have been very different. Story's tale is just one of many, and thanks to a dedicated shelter and a couple's love for the breed, a life of happiness was secured for her. Let me know what you thought of this amazing story, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more awesome content.